Hello, all my glorious cancers. This is your homework family reading for the month of January. And as we begin this year, so before I've been doing it on every sign because I haven't done the homework family readings in like 2 years. And I want to make sure for new people who are coming back and who don't remember them or weren't ever part of these readings, how to help you understand to follow them properly. There's that little banner down below. So read that a little bit as it's going by, and it might help you keep up with the way the reading works. On a universal scale, what my guides tell me is that there is typically, five astrological charts that are running for any human being at any given time. And so when I say cycle within cycles, literally, I mean it. And it's impossible for me to truthfully do a one-on-one or get really into the all of those five, you know, charts on one person when I'm doing a universal reading, even if that universal reading is like this one for Cancer signs. But the best way I can do it is kind of by tapping into a little bit of it all and then telling you when you are listening to these readings, please try to understand that if you are a sun Cancer, I'm getting into your core. I'm getting into your compass, and I'm helping you to understand where the chart is and kind of what it's talking about to you. But from that compass of who and what you are, from your core, from your personality, your view, and how you're carrying it all, resonating with it at the core of who and what you are. Now, if you're a moon Cancer like me, I'm a moon sign in Cancer, then I'm really talking to you more at this time about your emotional state of mind and how it is that your emotional state of mind is acting within your physical body as well as the way you are perceiving the world from that emotional state of mind. So that it helps you to understand exactly clearing up some stuff going on upstairs. Now, if you are a rising Cancer, this would be more of looking at your three-dimensional world, and your three-dimensional world is everything that is around you. It is what you can feel, see, touch, smell. It is part of what you physically see, which actually has a lot to do with the way you're viewing the world on a three-dimensional level, even if you're higher in the dimensions, because it still has to do with the way your head is playing it out. Your mind is perceiving it. And that has a lot to do with the way you manifest and you create. So it's helping you to understand how to view this. And like I said, for me, I'm a moon Cancer. So for me, this reading is all from the emotional state of mind. But I'm a Leo. So if I wanted to know from my core energy, I would go back and I would check out the chart, the reading from the Leo point to look at my compass, my core. And I'm just giving you an idea so you understand how to read these. And I'm a Virgo rising. So the way I'm manifesting is coming more from that Virgo aspect. And I'm going to let you know how that energy is going. Now, with that being said, I am also open for readings. However, like I said, this is one of those universal readings. So if you are interested, just look at the information in the description box and you can contact me later. As we get into this reading, I want to remind you, you have a full moon coming up in your sign, in the Cancer sign. Now, if you are a sun Cancer and you're having the moon come up, you're also kind of facing yourself. So this is your masculine and your feminine, your light and your dark are kind of coming together into a balance and washing each other clean, making sure that they're seeing the truths within each other. If you're like I am, a moon, then it's going to be more of getting into really the depths of that emotional standpoint because we're at a full moon, and full moons bring up everything that you need to see. And I want to help you to understand that because that is the first house for us in this area. And the first house speaks to us of ourself. It's of ourself, of our self-awareness, of our physical body, our personality, our appearance, how we view life, our image, what we believe our image is, as well as what really others see our image as. Now, before I go any further, Spirit is telling me that for cancers, for right now, there is a lot going on with your professional interests and how that professional interest has something to do with humanitarian interests. Something about this is connecting or not connecting, and you need to acknowledge this because this is what they're bringing up to me, and they keep putting emphasis on the humanitarian interest, as well as they keep telling me this. Something about what's going on right now has to do with your level of growth, dealing with your responsibilities of healing karmic lessons. But that karmic lessons and your part of the responsibility is coming to do with something with that professional world versus the true part of service of humanitarian interests, whether you're doing it or not. Anyway, there's something there that Spirit is telling me that you need to understand and acknowledge. Now, with that being said, I'm back to the fact that this is a full moon taking place in Cancer. It's going to take place on the 17th. They're also telling me that this has to do with holding on too much, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know, when you're getting your head about that coulda, shoulda, woulda, I could have done that. What if I did this? Well, I should have done it that way. That stuff will drive you mad. And they're telling me something about that karmic healing, the humanitarian interest in the service versus your professional world is having something to do with the karmic healing and I guess, getting that supernatural highway that I'm always talking about between the heart and the head, where it gets like clogged up. I could have done this. I should have done that. Well, what if that stuff will make you crazy and you're holding on to grief, sorrow, shame, and blame, and it's making you hold on to bitterness that you're not healing? I'm telling you what I'm channeling. I don't even know where the astrology is going at the moment. I'm telling you what I'm channeling. So that's part of what I'm being given at this moment. Can I get back to the full moon? They're saying, yeah, it's definitely going to be dealing with the outer world. The outer world is, because what they're giving me is the 10th house. And the 10th house is our honor, our reputation, our prestige, our professional world, our career. But they're telling you, use wisdom here. Use wisdom here. Plus, it's the outer world as far as the authority of the outer world, not just how, like, your career and how you make your money, but they're telling you something to do with your self-realization in this area. In your own personal interests. And I guess, are they being met? Yeah, are they being met? Because what they just gave me was funerals. So can you let the dead to the dead? Things that aren't serving you anymore, that aren't helping you to be what you want to be, helping you to be in service and be part of the spiritual growth that you're trying to create, but that's actually kind of somewhat getting in the way, and where you're a little confused on that professional versus truly, are you doing it from that soulful point of view? Because they're giving me funeral. So they're saying, let that die. Like I say, let that die. They're giving me like you're holding on to grief, sorrow, shame, blame, which is keeping you all junked up for whoever this is for. Are we good? And for whoever is for, or for ourselves in general, because I am doing a Cancer reading, they're giving me, the best way of putting it is the way they gave it to me. Notice when you are creating your own self-undoing. When you are creating your own self-undoing, like self-sacrifice, which is actually going against you. Notice when you're doing that, because that's what you need to stop doing. Which is more or less self-sabotage. Stop the self-sabotage in areas. I really just feel like they're saying stop belittling yourselves in areas and stop talking bad to yourselves in areas because you talk yourself down. You get over emotional. I mean, you are a Cancer, and this is a full moon coming in. So the emotions might be running even higher. And Cancer moon is one of the most highest levels of the empath because it's ruled by the moon. Bitterness, blame, and stop trying to think you have to be perfect because nobody's perfect. Okay? Okay. Sorry. I'm going with what they were giving me. Okay. Now, let me just, we're just going to start over from scratch then. All right. So, Cancers, you guys truthfully are walking through your seventh house right now. And in case nobody's ever explained it to you, the house that the sun is in, the sign that the sun is in, is technically the house that you are walking through at this time. And right now, the sun is in Cancer, but for the sun is in Capricorn, which is your direct opposite. And it's in Capricorn up until at least I think it's the 21st when it moves into Aquarius. So technically you're in your seventh house right up until the 21st. Now, depending on, your actual birth time and stuff, it might be a few days more, a few days less, a little bit, but I'm letting you know overall it's your seventh house. The seventh house is the relationship zone. And I don't know how many times to tell you a relationship is not just your loved ones, not just your children or your parents or your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Any and everything you care about, you have a relationship with. And that goes for work friends, it goes for work environments, it goes for anything, right down to the fact of you have a relationship with your car. When your car isn't working and you have no transportation. Hey, I can't make it up. It's the way it comes out of my mouth. And you don't have transportation because your car is broken down, you don't have a car, you know all about your relationship with the lack of it. Same with money. When you don't have money, all of a sudden you really know all about your relationship with the lack of that money. I'm just giving you an idea. Any and everything you care about, you have a relationship with. So, what is your part? As they were making very clear, what is your part and your responsibility to these relationships? Okay, now here's where it starts getting more plentiful, so to speak. Remember, this is on the outside of you. This is your seventh house, which means the energy is actually more on the other side than on your side. This is the outer world because on a universal level, it's Capricorn, which is the 10th house, which happens to be the political arena, our careers, our outer world, the authority of the outer world. So this is talking about the relationships and the authority from the outer world and those partners that are in your relationships. What is going on there? Versus how is it making you feel about yourself? How is it making you view your character, your personality? How is it making you physically feel about yourself? These are the conversations that not just the full moon, but the whole month is bringing you. Now, you have the sun here illuminating that outer world. So, in a form, this is a mirror effect. But in the same time, this is asking you about the relationships that you are keeping and if they are good for you or not, if things need to be shifted or cords need to be cut. And we're looking at it from that point of the view. The sun is showing you what's going on outside of yourself, but what is your responsibility to that relationship? You have Pluto here, which is saying there's parts of our relationships that we don't like to acknowledge, that we do tend to give power away to. And then, let's face it, we're Cancers. Inside, we emotionally beat ourselves up on some level, and we're holding on to anger, grief, sorrow, shame, and blame. It's part of what Cancer does. but then we try to be nurturing and helpful outside while we yell at ourselves. So this is not a healthy situation, is what they're pointing out. And we need to learn how to make sure we're placing ourselves in relationships that create healthy situations, not help spark a fire within the unhealthy level of the way we see it. It's the masculine and the feminine, Capricorn and Cancer, going towards each other. Is there a balance or not? And you need to acknowledge this. This is all part of what you're going to be seeing over the month. Like I said, plus you have Capricorn, who also has Venus here. Venus is in retrograde right up until the 29th. And this is speaking to you about, do you value yourself in this relationship of whatever, any and everything you care about, you have a relationship with. So are you valuing yourself in all of these different relationships that have part of your life? Or are you giving part of your value away? And what are you going to do with that? Are you going to continue to allow that? This is part of that conversation. Then you also have sacrifice and commitment, which is Juno here. Now, I explain this all the time. Venus is not love. I hate when astrologers do that. They give the idea that Venus is love. Now, you know what Venus is? Venus is the teenager who just fell in love. Ooey gooey, soft and chewy, and it's great. Maybe for this week, maybe for 3 weeks. But, when things get a little bit really real, do I still really like you? Maybe, maybe not. I'm still a teen. I don't really have to know these things yet. Now, Juno is the one that's actually married to Jupiter. She is the sacrificing the commitment. She is the one that would truly be the love. She is the one that would truly talk to you about what it takes. What it takes, period. And this is in the outer world with the sun, with Venus in retrograde up until the 29th. Then it's going to be shadow. It's the one that's with Pluto. That's decay and destruction for renewal, rebirth, regeneration. What part of you are afraid of yourself of in these relationships? Where are you giving the other relationships more power? The illumination is showing it to you. And you have Vista coming in. The soul fire. Plus, at the end of the month, you have Mars coming in, bringing more balance. So this is showing you where your balance is out of whack, where you need to tighten up the reins and correct some things, cut cords, or strengthen the bond, and helping you to understand that. Now, when we move from the 7th house and into the 8th house, into Aquarius, the rules, the walls, the boundaries, you have Mercury that's about to go retrograde. Mercury's already in shadow, so it's already starting to look at these darker aspects. Take inventory. Start writing down its list. Mercury is starting to look at those things of where you are in your head too much and where the word vomit may start coming out. As well as you might be becoming a little more self-centered because Mercury is in your head. That's part of what retrograde is. It's not communicating out properly. And it's the rules, the walls, and the boundaries. So you want to make sure that you're not, not paying attention to what is being said and done and the foundation of these relationships. Do they need to give and take? Do you need to pull back on the reins? Do you need to give a little bit more? Is it healthy? Is it not? We're resetting the foundation. We're creating good bones by acknowledging where the bones are wrong. Not to mention Saturn's here, talking about rules, walls, and boundaries. I mean, you can't make it up. It's the way it's going. Then you have in your 9th house. This is Pisces. But this is also universally the 12th house. And for us, it's the 9th house. So our spirituality, our soulfulness comes from walking through in a form. Wow. That's some deep shit, Spirit. Spirit says a part of our growth, and that's for anybody, but the way that it's set up for us, a part of our growth is through the dark night of soul. And as you walk through the dark night of soul, however many times you walk through the dark night of soul, you cleanse the soul more and more. This is also why they give me Graham, which they always do, as though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. The 12th house is grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities. It's everything that we shove underneath the carpet so that we don't have to see the dirt. But we didn't really get rid of the dirt, we just hid it. It's still there. But this is taking place in our spirituality. It's the parts of your spirituality that are still connected to the old way of thinking, to the old morals, the old philosophy, the old religions. And I don't mean like the old ancient religions. I mean like what you were grown up raised to, the way you were raised to believe that the society would be, where you were taught that this is what's acceptable and what is not, the ethics and the morals that follow that bad, no good for us anymore structure that we're trying to get rid of, and understand that soulfully holding on and coveting that grief, sorrow, shame, blame, and insecurities, well, we're still holding on to it, but yet we don't want anybody to really know that we're holding on to it. We don't really even want to see it or admit we're holding on to it. So we shoved it underneath the rug, but it's still up here. They're saying part of your spiritual growth is that dark night of soul, and allowing yourself to acknowledge to let that go. Because as you let that go, you'll start coming into a more broader, truthful understanding of really the oneness. And then it will change your aspect from the humanitarian interests and the professional interests into the oneness and soulfulness that you really, truly desire to be part of. So, not to mention just that, because part of that was channeling. Jupiter is now in the ninth house. He's going to be here all year. Jupiter is abundant. He is the higher self. He is the higher self because he comes from Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the galactic center, like the center of all of the main power, the power, of the galactic. And we're placing it into the ninth house, which brings it for you back into a level of the ninth house, but in emotional waters of walking through that, by understanding where people, as well us as well as people, aren't growing and where we need to grow and aspire to get to. Jupiter is abundance, knowledge. So this can bring you serious psychic ability over the next year. Jupiter ain't moving for a year, and he's in the psychic house for us here in the ninth house. And as long as we're connecting to that soul source connection and energy, we're going to be getting more stronger and more powerful and more connected to source in one. And it's going to be allowing that higher mind to just vibrate on a higher vibration to illuminate and grow. But if you're afraid of it, the only thing he can give you is more to be afraid of and keep you from growing, because he's showing you where you keep walking into the same wall over and over and over again instead of walking around it and realizing there's a different way. So you're going to definitely be feeling Jupiter's growth all year, spiritually trying to push you along. Now, the 11th house is the outer world, but it's the groups, the memberships that you're part of, the teams you're part of. And it connects much with that outer world and the authority, because it must a lot of times it's like your work friends. And are these people that you are friends with, these communities that you keep, do they support you? Do they support this spiritual growth? Do they support you coming into the power of you, the oneness of you, the soulfulness of you, the authenticity of you? Because if they're not supporting those goals, dreams, and ambitions, well, then actually what they are doing is supporting theirs, and they're manipulating you. But it should be give and take. There should always be a balance. You should want to see your friends grow, but you should also acknowledge that they want to see you grow and be happy. If it's not a true give or take, then there's a problem here. Now, the reason I'm explaining this is because this is the 11th house. This is what the energy is. Now, this is also Taurus, which can be very stubborn and inflexible, very strong willed, but this is also where Uranus is right now: independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, self worth, self value, self esteem. So, are you able to stand in that outer world and go, no, I'm not part of just the crowd. I'm an individual, and you should see me as an individual. I should be respected as an individual. I'm not part of the wall of people. So why don't you see me as just me? And this is part of what we're talking about: your individuality, your independence, your freedom, your ability to express and be you freely in the outer world. And if the people in your life are keeping you from that, well, then they're not really there for you. They're manipulating you. And this is where I always say you're starting to become the possession of them. You're being pushed around by them. They have the power over you, not you. The North Node is here saying you have to learn how to stand on your feet in this area. And it ain't moving for over a year. So it's going to be strengthening as we move forward. The South Node, on the other hand, is everything that you're good at, but it's not good for you. And it has now moved into your fifth house. The fifth house is one of the most important houses because understand, you first acknowledge who you are in the first house: your character, your personality, who you are. The second house strengthens your self worth, self value, self esteem, and how you manifest according to how well you feel about yourself or lack of it. And then your third house is that communication you have with yourself so that you're confident in having it with the outer world. The fourth house builds your inner emotional security. So by the time you get to the fifth house, you're able to express who you are freely. You're able to be the artist. You're able to be the singer if you're a singer. You're able to feel confident about being, in sports. You're able to feel very good about writing your poetry and not being afraid to show it to people and express it and go after your hobbies. And the fifth house is not just your inner child. The fifth house is everything that makes you tick, everything that makes you want to be part of life, right down to dating. And if you don't feel that you have the ability to do these things, then why are we here? Why are we here? I mean, what is the point if we can't enjoy any of it? The South Node is in the fifth, which is what this energy is. The South Node teaches you everything that you're really good at, but it really does nothing for you. So where are you really good at? Helping everybody else be the best them. But where are you in your own way? And you're not giving yourself the right amount of time and love to be the best you can be. Because this is telling you that this year you need to make sure that you're making some time to enjoy you and enjoy life and to be part of it. Not just be in service, but to be also the humanitarian that also is taking care of them so that you can be a better outer world and in service to them. It starts from within and works its way outwardly. I love you guys. I will see you next month. Bye.